I'm Christopher Pincher and I'm the Conservative parliamentary candidate in Tamworth. The BBC or Sky tell us that it's really only national issues that influence how people vote at general elections. But today I want to talk about some local issues that directly affect people living here in Tamworth. Issues which I think are important and which, if I'm elected as the next MP for Tamworth, I promise to keep high on my personal agenda, both here in Tamworth and in Westminster. A big issue facing people living in the north of Tamworth and in the villages on the edge of the town is the government's revised regional spatial strategy. In a nutshell, the plan, devised by the Labour government, is to build up to 2,000 new homes in Lichfield district, over 1,000 of which are earmarked for land north of Tamworth. That's going to have a devastating impact on local communities, and people are very concerned about it, understandably so. One of the villages which is going to be affected is Wigington, which is where we are now, and I'm going to talk to some residents about the problem. How many people live in the village?
Some 250, I would say, yes. About
250?
Yeah.
So how do you feel about 1,000 new homes being built right on your doorstep?
Not happy at all. I think it would ruin the whole area. It would mean more traffic. The roads now can't cope.
And Trev, you live in the north of Tamworth. What effect do you think it's going to have where you live?
Well, indeed, Chris, and just picking up on Tony's point about the traffic, I mean, as it happens, I had a doctor's appointment this morning at 9 o'clock in town, and it took me 20 minutes to get from my home into town, which is a distance of probably no more than a mile. Real concerns about the environmental impact. I mean, the area adjacent to the proposed building site is an absolute haven for wildlife. I mean, I go down regularly walking down Siscott Lane, which is adjacent to the building land, and it's amazing the wildlife that you see down there. And I have real concerns about what would happen to the the wonderful area that we have there for recreation should this building go ahead.
What contact has there been from the government about
this
issue?
No, there's been no consultation whatsoever in the village, and they completely ignored our views throughout.
Surely it can't be right that decisions like this that can have such a major impact on the day-to-day lives of people living in villages like Wigington can be made with virtually no consultation at all by faceless bureaucrats in London. I certainly don't believe it's right, and that's why I brought up the issue with Caroline Spellman, the Conservative Shadow Secretary of State for Communities and Local Government, and I want to read to you what she says. Caroline says, "These regional plans are utterly undemocratic and in some places environmentally unsustainable. If elected, the Conservative government would scrap the West Midlands Regional Spatial Strategy and its whole tier of regional planning and give power back to local communities." Now, Conservatives right now are talking about voting for change. Surely everyone will agree that this Conservative strategy is change for the better. The Greenbelt issue that we've just discussed is a great example of the way the election of a Conservative government can eliminate a local problem. But some local issues are best dealt with by local action. We're here in the car park of the Robert Peel Hospital, Tamworth's local community hospital, which, unlike most hospitals across the UK, has got free car parking. Now, I believe it is wholly wrong that sick people and their relatives should have to pay for the privilege of parking at their local hospital. And a lot of right-thinking local people agreed with me and last year joined my campaign to persuade the hospital not to impose parking charges. We had a great campaign, we got lots of people involved, a big petition was got up, and we were successful in persuading the hospital to change its mind and not impose parking charges. So this car park is still free to patients and visitors. That's a great example of the way a local campaign, local people can get together and beat bureaucracy. We've come to meet one of my neighbours, Lisa. Lisa runs the postnatal depression group for local mums in Tamworth, and last year I helped her set up their launch conference, raise some money for the group, and I brought along Theresa May, who's the Conservative women's spokesman, to meet the mums and publicise the group in the local newspaper, the Tamworth Herald. So let's go inside and meet Lisa. So when you started up again, what were the big challenges to get the group up and running?
The main one was funding, but we also had to have enough support off the health professionals, because what we do as part of the group, we offer a nursery facility, so that when mums come along, they've got a creche that the children can be left in.
Tell me about the conference, because you had a big conference. Yes. To relaunch yourselves. How did that go?
Yeah, I mean, that was great, and obviously very good of you to financially support it as well. It was fantastic. The awareness that we've created off the conference. I mean, we were sold out. The capacity at Drayton Manor was 300 people. We could have sold it twice over, and it was amazing because it actually touched so many people, and that's the kind of support and awareness that needs to be out there.
And do you think getting Theresa May, the shadow women's minister, along to help publicise the event, did that help us all?
Yeah, it did, because it put it in the local papers, so that people knew who she was.
Going from strength to strength, which is a really good sign.
It is going well. It is a good sign, but it's not a good sign, because obviously that means that there is obviously the need for the group. We meet on a Tuesday, and on average we're having 8 or 9, sometimes 12 mums a week come to the group. And of those, it can be 3 or 4 new mums a month. So if you imagine how many people, and that's not just Tamworth, we support the local villages as well. That's how many new mums are actually needing the personal health support. Now, health professionals can't cope with that, so that's why we're there.
It's really rewarding to me to know that I've played my own small part in helping to raise the profile of postnatal depression in Tamworth. It's a much more serious issue than many people realise. Over 1 in 10 mums suffer from postnatal depression. It affects not just them, but dads, other kids in the family. It has a ripple effect right the way through the household. It's a credit to Lisa and her team that the issue of postnatal depression is being raised so high in Tamworth. And it's another great example of how local people can come together to help solve their own problems. And for me, that's what local politics really is all about. Community coming together to look after itself. I hope that in this short film you've been able to gain an insight into some of the big issues facing Tamworth and some of the people trying to make a difference. If I'm elected as your next MP, I make you this promise, that the issues you've seen today and others like them, I'll keep high on my personal agenda, both here in Tamworth and in Westminster.
Vote for change in Tamworth. Vote Conservative. Vote for Christopher Pincher.